So hi, good afternoon. Audible? Backside? Chalo. So I think that last class we were talking about the later Mughals. So we have not completed this part, and then the last thing that we discussed that's visible over here, obviously. So Alamgir second. So we need to talk about the Shah Alam second, and then after the last two rulers. Just give me 1 minute. So now listen. So the next person that we need to discuss is the Shah Alam second. And after a very long time, there is a person who is will not say capable, but he was willing to resist. Okay? And he was courageous also. Okay? So he has some ability, he has some courage, but actually the Mughal glory was beyond his redemption. No matter whatever strength he has or whatever capabilities he have, the Mughal glory is beyond redemption, because already it has shrunk to a very small space. And that small space by this point of time was hardly 20 kilometers in Delhi. Okay? So starting from Purani Delhi and ending at the Palam Bihar. So there was a very famous Persian quotation about him, that his rule. So it was said that Sultanate Shah Alam Aj Dilli Te Palam, meaning that it starts from Old Delhi and ends at the Palam Bihar. So moreover, when he has come to power, so by this time it's already been established that the strongest people in India or strongest regional dynasty in India was Maratha. Okay? And Maratha had a lot of influence. So earlier it was the other Mughal nobles like Persian, like Turkish, like Afghan, like Hindustani. They are the one who are instrumental in appointment of the kings. But now onwards, it is the Mughals who are deciding that who will come to the throne of the Mughals. It is the Maratha who are deciding that who will be ascending the throne of Mughal. So this time Shah Alam II has come to power with the support of the Maratha chief, Maratha Sardar Sadasiv Rao Bhau. And in 1760 he has come to power, and he has also accepted the Maratha suzerainty. What does it mean? The supremacy of Maratha. So there was a scenario back in the medieval times that when Mughals are not fighting with some rulers, and then they are not kind of going into the war with those rulers, so only there was a condition that these rulers must accept the supremacy of Akbar, and then there would be no fight. For example, that Akbar has done it with the Rajput rulers. So all the rights of the Rajput rulers were intact, their autonomy, their independence, everything was intact. They were free in their decision making, but only thing that they needed to do, that they needed to accept the supremacy of Akbar. So meaning that they are hailing as the Akbar is the king of the kings, only that thing. So here also that Marathas, the situation has changed, and then Mughals are accepting the Marathas as the supreme power in India. Okay? So now, after this, what has happened? 1760 he has come to power, but Marathas have created their own problems, and this problem was basically this particular episode of the Lahore, okay, which we wrote in the last class, that they overran Punjab and they occupied Lahore. So now this was the major bone of contention between the Abdali and the Marathas, and it led to this fight which we call as the Third Battle of Panipat 1761. In this Third Battle of Panipat, Mughal Emperor Shah Alam was on the side of the Marathas. Obviously he would be on the side of the Marathas, and though he was not able to provide a big or strong army to the Marathas, but symbolic way he was in their support. After the defeat of the Maratha, not only that Marathas' glory, they have hit a bottom low. At the same point of time, the Mughal emperor, he was exiled from Delhi. Okay? Shah Alam, he was exiled from Delhi by Abdali. So now, Shah Alam is living in Allahabad, and Allahabad way back at the time of the Akbar has created a fort at Allahabad. Okay? So that was the fort where he was living, and he was not allowed to come to Delhi. So what about the administration of Delhi at this point of time? So administration of Delhi was handed over to the agents of Abdali, who were Rohillas. Okay? So there were two leaders, Najibullah Khan and Zabita Khan. Then, so these two people were given the charge of the Delhi. So it took little bit of time that for Mughal emperor to return to Delhi. Meanwhile, in this duration, one more battle has happened, that is the Battle of Buxar, 1764. And after the Battle of Buxar, the Mughal emperor has given the Diwani right of Bihar, Bengal, Odisha to the Britishers. Okay? So that's the episode that we will discuss in the Bengal. Then, but here some sort of glimpse must be required. So Battle of Buxar has happened, in which the Shah Alam is defeated, but somehow his respect continued and British did not disturb his symbolic position. Then in 1771, there was another Maratha Sardar, his name was Mahatji Scindia. And what about the first Maratha Sardar, Sadasiv Rao Bhau? So Sadasiv Rao Bhau was killed in the first battle of Panipat. So it took a little bit of time for the Marathas to resurrect their glory, to reestablish their fortunes, and by this time Mahatji Scindia has emerged as a very powerful leader in the Maratha area. So now in 1771, Maratha leader Mahatji Scindia, he rescued Mughal emperor to the Delhi and he expelled Rohillas from Delhi. Okay? So expelled Rohillas from Delhi, but see that this is not the end of the Rohilla episode. Okay? And Rohillas have lived in Delhi from very long time. In fact, there is an area just in the backside of this Karol Bagh, you know, Sarai Rohilla. That was the place which was the habitation of the Rohillas. And I hope we discussed that who are the Rohillas. Did we discuss? Okay? So people of the Rohilkhand. So now, all of a sudden what happened in 1788, one very unexpected event happened in Delhi. 1788. And what is this unexpected event? People may regard Najibullah and Zabita to be the enemies of the Mughal emperor, but all of a sudden what happened, an altogether very unknown person, his name was Ghulam Qadir, he entered into the city of Delhi. He was also a Rohilla, and he entered into the city of Delhi. He bribed the officers who were there in Delhi. And as you know, that old Delhi has many gates, and these gates were the entry points into Delhi. So I hope you must be knowing the name of these gates: Delhi Gate, Mori Gate, Tees Hazari Gate, Kashmiri Gate. Okay? So these were the gates, or these gates were the entry points to the old Delhi. So he bribed those all gatekeepers, and then also some of them who were not ready for it, they were kind of tortured and they were executed. So in the night he entered into the city of Delhi, and then he started looting the civilian houses also, and only thing that person was searching for, that was the gold. Then so that was the gold, he was running after the gold. And then finally he entered into the palace of the Mughal emperor, and then finally he has tortured the family members. All type of the sexual atrocities that you can think of, that was also done with the Mughal house, that the princess and the prince, okay, everybody was tortured. And then not only this torturing was ending, but one final act of his was very august. And what he did, that he jumped on the chest of the Mughal emperor Shah Alam and gouged out his eyes. Okay? So gouged out his eyes, and then after this incident he returned back. Okay? So not only this very extreme violence has happened, but also at the same point of time people are surprised that why he did not. If he is able to do this much violence in the city, he could have ruled from the city. Okay? So he could have killed Mughal emperor. Why he did not killed? So that goes back to one such part that is related to the Shah Alam only, okay, and his court only. So it was actually a revenge, okay, a revenge from the Mughal. And the story goes back to that in one such fight between the Mughals and some locals, one of the Rohilla leader, he was killed way back, okay. So he was killed, and then after the killing of that particular leader, his son, hardly 5-6 years old, he was brought to the Mughal house. Okay? And that boy was very smart, very handsome, but he has very soft attributes. he was forced to dance like a woman, and till he was 13, 14 years old, he was forced to wear the dress of the women and then dance like and perform like women. So the memory was, this is what has shaken the conscience of that boy. Then that he was performing and he was forced against his own real nature, and that's what he wanted to take the revenge then, and he took this revenge with the Mughal emperor. Okay, so it was actually not for the power, but it was for the revenge. But everywhere in the Islamic world there was criticism of this, and very soon Mahatji Scindia, he hunted down Ghulam Qadir from Bareilly, Muradabad, and then he was also hacked to death in a very torturous fashion. Okay? So cutting the hands first, then legs, then slow death. You know that. The way he did the atrocity in the Mughal house, same way Mahatji Scindia tortured him and killed him. So that is one episode. But after this episode of the Ghulam Qadir, Mughal emperor was blind, and he continued as a blind emperor till his death in 1806. You're right. Mention. Shah Alam II. He came to power with the support of Maratha Sardar Sadasiv Rao Bhau. Under Maratha supremacy. Done? Then, next you mention. He was man of some ability. And courage. But Mughal glory was beyond redemption. 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 Full stop. Then you write, during his tenure, two important battles happened, which are Third Battle of Panipat, 1761, Third Battle of Panipat, 1761, and Battle of Buxar, 1764. Battle of Buxar, 1764. Full stop. Then mention, when Abdali was leaving India, after Panipat battle, he exiled. After Panipat battle, he exiled Shah Alam. From Delhi. Full stop. The administration of Delhi was looked after by agents of Abdali looked after by agent of Abdali, Najibullah and Zabita Khan. Najibullah and Zabita Khan. Then next you mention. On the other hand, after full stop, on the other hand, Mughal emperor was living in Allahabad. ठीक है, full stop. Then you write after this episode, ठीक है. Battle of Buxar we are not mentioning elaborately over here, ठीक है. We are just touching on this topic. Then change paragraph and mention in 1771. In 1771, Maratha Sardar Mahaji Sindhya rescued Mughal emperor to Delhi. And reinstated him to the Mughal throne. It's not working. None of this not working. Then further you mention, he also repelled Rohillas from Delhi. Full stop. In 1788, 1788, a Rohilla leader. In 1788, a Rohilla leader, Ghulam Qadir, it's an easy name, entered into the royal city of Delhi, looted the prized possessions and blinded Shah Alam. ठीक है, blinded Shah Alam. Full stop. Very soon, Mahaji Sindhya hunted down. Very soon, Mahaji Sindhya hunted down Ghulam Qadir. ठीक है. So that's what we needed to mention over here. But one more thing that we need to keep in our mind, that this battle of Buxar which has happened, इसमें लिखना नहीं, but written that listen to the entire story of the battle of Buxar basically. So battle of Buxar was basically a war between the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II, the Bengal Nawab Mir Qasim, and Awadh ruler Sujaud-Dawla on one side, and on the other side the British. So when British have defeated them, so after the defeat there was a treaty which was signed, and treaty was known as Treaty of Allahabad in 1765. And as per the Treaty of Allahabad, Mughal emperor became the pensioner of the British. ठीक है? So pensioner of the British, and what was the sum which was assured for him? So 26 lakh rupees annual pension was assured for him. ठीक है? So this was there, and in return he has given Diwani right, that is the revenue collection rights of the Bihar, Bengal and Odisha to the Britishers. Okay, so this is one part, but there is a part associated with the Bengal and then also Awadh. We will discuss later on. Okay, that what has happened with them. So now you keep in mind that he is a pensioner of the British. Okay, after the 64 battle. Okay, so now 1806. After his death, the next person who has come to power, he is known as Akbar II. So during the time of the Akbar II, there were some changes which were made by British authority. Meanwhile, just listen. In 1813, you don't need to write. In 1813, there was change of the Governor General in India, and the person who has come to India, Marquis of Hastings. Okay, the name of the Governor General. So Marquis of Hastings, he came with the clear intention to establish the British paramountcy in India. Then, so establish British paramountcy, meaning that British is the paramount power in India and everybody is subservient to the British. So obviously that in the persuasion of this objective to establish the paramountcy, they will have to take many initiatives. And one initiative later on was taken in 1835. What is this initiative? So though the rule of the Mughal has shrunk to 20 kilometers, but still on a symbolic way, in a nominal way, they are considered as the ruler of India. The coins are minted with them, their name, and the language which was popular in the Mughal court was used as a official language. So what they did, that in 1835, they declared, they stopped minting coins. Okay, this coined I have written. So they stopped minting coins with the name of the Mughal emperor. Earlier, that everybody was minting coins with the name of the Mughal emperor and then Britishers also. Okay, but from here onwards, they will be minting the coins with the name of the British monarch, not the Mughal emperor. So from here onwards, you will get the coins of the Britishers where King George name is there, Queen Elizabeth name is there, Victoria's name is there, okay, but not the Indian name. And the second thing is Persian, which was official language of India. Now English became official language of India. Okay, so Persian was replaced with the English. Moreover, it is Akbar II who gave the title of the Raja to the famous social reformer Ram Mohan Roy. And somewhere around 1831, okay, so 1831, it was almost 4 or 5 years that Akbar II has not received his pension. Okay, so he sent Ram Mohan Roy to Britain to ask for his pension, that why it has not been remitted to him. So when Ram Mohan Roy, he has went to London, he died at a place called Bristol. Okay, he was not to return back. So we talk about the Ram Mohan Roy's episode later on in the socio-religious reform. Then, so this is the episode of the Akbar II. Now listen about the next emperor, the last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah. So Bahadur Shah II or Bahadur Shah Zafar. And the word Zafar which we are mentioning, it was his pen name. I hope you know pen name. Okay? With the name with which they are writing the stuff. Okay? So he was one of the famous ghazal composer of that time. Few other ghazal composers of that time were Mirza Ghalib and Mir Taqi Mir, but he was also one of the finest ghazal composer of that time. And he often wrote those poetries with the name of the Zafar. Then, but in terms of the strength, Mughals have no strength. They are just the symbolic and nominal leaders of India, and they are the pensioners of the British. So during his regime, this mighty revolt of the 1857 happened. And it all started from Meerut, where the sepoys of the army, they mutinied and they marched to Delhi. Okay? So once they marched to Delhi, they hailed the Bahadur Shah as the emperor of Hindustan, and then they started the revolt in the name of the Bahadur Shah. Initially, he was hesitant then, but later on, he was satisfied that he must give his symbolic leadership to the revolt. But he had to pay price of it. And what was the price? Killing of all his sons. Okay? All of his sons were killed by British after the suppression of revolt. And he himself was tried by the court martial. He was sent to the Rangoon jail in Myanmar, where he died somewhere in 1861 or 62. Okay? And that's the end of the Mughals from India. On 1st of November 1858, with the declaration of the Queen Victoria, the Mughal rule formally came to an end from India. Okay? Mention. So you write about the Akbar II. First you write about the Akbar II, and you write, mention. He gave the title of Raja. He gave the title of Raja to the famous social reformer, Ram Mohan Roy. Then you write, during his tenure in 1835, British discontinued minting coins with the name of Mughal monarch. Full stop. Then you mention, they also declared English to be official language of India. By replacing Persian. ठीक है? Next title you write, Bahadur Shah II. 1837 to 57, also known as Zafar. Mention, he was one of the famous ghazal composers of that time. Full stop. He often wrote poetries with the pen name Zafar. Done? Then after full stop, mention, during his tenure, the mighty revolt of 1857 happened. Initially, he was hesitant. To participate in revolt. But later he agreed to provide his leadership. Full stop. After the suppression of revolt, he was tried by a court martial. He was tried by a court martial and deported to jail in Rangoon. Deported to jail in Rangoon. See, there is one thing that you will have to see in the copy. Repeat करूँगा तो change भी हो सकता है. Because I am not dictating from any notes. कुछ दिमाग से ही dictate कर रहा हूँ. So you always have the option to see in your friend's copy. So, and this is how you two will become very good friends. So now, what do you have written? Rangoon. And one last line you write. On formal level, Mughal rule came to an end. On formal level, Mughal rule came to an end on 1st of November, 1858, with the declaration of Queen Victoria. With the declaration of Queen Victoria. So now we are moving to the important portion of this later Mughals. And important, why I am saying, from the perspective of the exam, from where the questions are asked repeatedly, okay? In mains and prelims also. And this is also the time when we are going to talk about that answer writing also, okay? So let's start with something with the though we are going to talk about the decline of the Mughals, but we will go back to the administration of the Mughals, okay? And since I know that this is the part which you study in the medieval, okay? You will be studying in the medieval, but without understanding that, you cannot understand decline of Mughals. So let's talk about the administration of the Mughals. Just listen a little bit. So when it all comes down to the Mughal administration, first you need to understand that who all were the stakeholders in the Mughal court. So by this time, that highest position in the court is the position of the monarch. And then after the monarch, who would be there? Wazir. Okay? So Mughal monarch, and after Mughal monarch, Wazir is there. Okay? Then after Wazir, I think we have written this part. We created? No? So just let me do this exercise. Monarch, after monarch, Wazir, after Wazir, nobility. And in nobility, there were 4 groups. Turkish. So Turkish group, which we also write as Turrani. Okay? So, just give me 1 minute. Now fine. So it's also known as Turani. Then what is other group? Irani, Persian. Persian we are calling it as a Irani. Okay? And then we have Afghan group. So Afghans are also called as, any idea? Afghans were also called as, not Afghani, Durrani. Then, and there is an Indian group which is called as Hindustani. Okay? So these were the 4 groups. Okay? And these 4 groups, obviously, that each group is going for their own people. Okay? They will talk about their own group. Okay? They are favoring their own group. So same way, they wanted that these all groups, they all were competing with each other, and that is the position of the Wazir. Okay? So they all wanted that their leader must become the Wazir. And when they are becoming the Wazir, so their group would be favored. So there was an internal competition in the Mughal court itself. Moreover, we need to understand the Mughal system of administration, Mansabdari. So I would just like to elaborate something from the Mughal period. Just as a story, you might be writing in the medieval, but just listen. So when did it all started? That 1526, okay, was the time period when Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodhi. And Ibrahim Lodhi, at this point of time, he was the strongest ruler of the Asia. In terms of the military strength, he had more than lakhs of soldiers, and then tens and thousands of the horses and elephants were there in his army. So he was regarded as the strongest ruler of the Asian subcontinent, and moreover, he was quite rude to his own people and very aggressive. So at one such point of time, he insulted his own uncle, Daulat Khan Lodhi. And Daulat Khan Lodhi, after getting humiliated, he was the one who invited Babur to India. So when the first invitation was sent to the Babur, Babur was a bit hesitant. Okay? He did not wanted to come to India. So he refused. But second time, once again, invitation was sent, and this time, Daulat Khan Lodhi has promised that the Rajput ruler, Mewar ruler, Rana Sanga, he would be supporting Babur if he comes to India. So then what happened? Babur decided in this scenario that he will fight with the Ibrahim Lodhi. But the problem of the Babur was real, that his army was 1/10 the strength of the Ibrahim Lodhi's army. And when he has landed in India, so he got only the support of the Daulat Khan Lodhi. There was no Rana Sanga's army. Okay? So there was no Rana Sanga's army, and it's a kind of a secret in the history that nobody knows, that was it really the promise at the very first place was correct, or is it a kind of a ploy which was used by Daulat Lodhi to invite Babur? Because Rana Sanga never promised. Okay? And if he had to promise, he must have sent his own people. So it is Daulat Khan Lodhi who is assuring. So anyways, whatever that was, the battle started. The third battle of Panipat started. First battle of Panipat started. And in this battle, very surprisingly, it was Babur who was victorious. 1/10 of the strength, and then Ibrahim Lodhi, who was regarded as the most powerful, he was defeated. So the question is, which was asked, I think in 2015 or 14, the question is that what is the reason because of which Babur was victorious? Cannons? Take it? Cannons, and you said something? Sahi tha ya? Bolo to, dobara to bolo. The first reply is always correct. Strategy. Take it? So I'll tell you the name of the strategy, okay? But otherwise. So first of all, cannons were used in India for the first time. Okay? Cannons were used in the India for the first time. In the option that year paper, they also gave gunpowder was used for the first time. So is it right? No. Gunpowder, Barood, you know. So Barood is used in India from time immemorial. There is a place called Jkpsc in Tamil Nadu, which is the hub of the gunpowder. And all the firecrackers that you explode in Diwalis and Holis, and then, not Holis, Diwalis and Shadis, ठीक है? Murga chhap, then. So, कहाँ बनता है? सब शिवकाशी में बनता है, ठीक है? So the people of the Shivkasi, they knew how to make the gunpowder from time immemorial. And what is the most important ingredient of the gunpowder? बताओ बताओ. Ammonia. Ammonium nitrate. Any other name? Which one? Saltpeter. Have you heard about it? Okay? We will come back to saltpeter later on in the Bengal episode also. That why that some of the people in Bengal become very rich, because they were involved in the saltpeter trade. Then, so saltpeter was the one which was known to Indians from time immemorial. ठीक है? So बारूद हमें आता था. ठीक है? पहले हम घरों में लगाते थे, बाकी वो तोप में पहुंच गए. So now, so Top was used for the very first time. The second was the most important thing. That was the strategy of the Babur. So only strategy, saying strategy as an answer will not work. What is the strategy? So strategy was Tuluguma. Okay? So the name of the strategy was Tuluguma. And as per this strategy, that what they have done, that on the one hand, there is a do you want to know the story? How it happened? Chalo. So the normal movement in the army, okay? Ibrahim Lodhi's army is moving like this, okay? The normal formation. So in the normal formations, you have cavaliers, you have the protectors at the front, those who have the seals. Then the second line is by the cavalry, horses are there. Then there are foot soldiers. In the middle, elephants would be there, and then the soldiers. Okay? So this was the formation of the Ibrahim Lodhi's army. Now, Babur, what he has done, that he knew that he doesn't have that much capacity. So he made his formation like this. Circular formations were there. Okay? And not only circular formation, but Babur, what they did, that they have created trenches over here. Okay? It's only in the World War we listen about the trenches, but trenches are very inimical to the wars, and it is the Babur who perfectly used it. So there were trenches, and in these trenches, not only half of his soldiers were hiding, but also his cannons were placed in trenches so that they must not be able to see it. And the Babur strategy was that let them exhaust their weapons. Okay? Let them exhaust their weapons, and his strategy was that don't attack on them. Instead, when they are attacking this area, to this place, if the direction of the arrows are there, move to this part, okay? And just kind of play a disguise over here. And finally, when the army comes closer, so then use the cannons from the trenches, not on anybody, but on elephants. Not on soldiers, not on horses, not on anybody, on elephants. And once you use it on elephants, they will do your job. Okay? So these elephants, they did the job. They crushed their own people. Okay? They crushed their own people, and the soldiers started to run in the other direction. And then the army which is hiding, it is circling the Ibrahim Lodhi army from all the sides. So Ibrahim Lodhi's army was sandwiched, and then it got killed. So finished. So it was an intelligent strategy, and Babur was highly successful. So he laid the foundation of the Mughal rule in India. Babur continued for 4 years, and then he died. Then, so his death has happened in 1530, and then his elder son Humayun has come to power. So when Humayun has come to power, he was a good man. But the problem of Humayun was he was highly unfortunate. So he was highly unfortunate, and he has to face challenge not only which was external but also internal. His own brother Kamran, Askari and Hindal, they were fighting with him to divide his kingdom. So that's how he gave the Kabul area, Afghanistan area, to his brothers. And moreover, he had to face challenge by the ruler of Bihar and Bengal. Who was he? Sirsa Suri. And then one more ruler, that was Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. Okay? But somehow he was saved from the problem of the Bahadur Shah. And who saved Humayun from the Bahadur Shah? Portuguese. Okay? They threw Bahadur Shah into the sea. Okay? So that's how he was saved from that situation. But the problem of the Sirsa Suri was bit severe, and in 1539 and 1540 there were two battles, Battle of Kannauj and Chausa, in which he consecutively defeated, and he had to move out from India. So initially he was given asylum in a Rajput kingdom, Amarkot, but Amarkot was not safe for the Humayun, because somehow, someday, somewhere, somebody will inform to the Sirsa Suri and he can hunt him down. And he will also hunt down the Amarkot people. So now he left for Iran. And in Iran, as you know, that Iran is a country which follows the Shia Islam. And Mughals were Sunni Muslims. Okay? So Shia Islam and Sunni Muslims. So the ruler of the Iran, he has come up with a condition that Mughals will have to accept the Shia Islam, and that's how they will get the asylum in the Iran. And he accepted. Now 15 years he is there in Iran. In 1555 he returned back to India. With the help of the Iranian ruler Shah Tamashp, he defeated the last Suri ruler and re-established Mughals in India. But once again he is very unfortunate. It is said about the Humayun that he had high interest in the stars, the arrangement of the star. That's what we call astronomy. So he created a library. Very first thing that he did, he created a library, and at the top of that library he created an observation deck, and this observation deck was known as Sher Mandal. So one night he was there at the top of that Sher Mandal, and he was looking at those arrangement of the star, and the stars were very unfavorable on that day. So he got panicked looking at the stars, and when he was descending from the stairs, so his leg got entangled in one rope which was kept on the stair, and he fell from the stairs. He died. So within few months only he died. After his death, this is also the time when his son and his family was not here in India. Akbar was in Kabul. Okay? So Akbar was in Kabul and he was not here in India. So there was one aide of the Sirsa Suri, okay? That Suri's, and his name was Hemachandra. So Hemu, we famously call him Hemu. So Hemu captured Delhi, and for a while he was the ruler of the Delhi. But in 1556, Mughal general Bairam Khan, he fought with the Hemachandra, and second battle of Panipat. So he defeated and killed Hemu, and that is the time, 1556 is the time that the firm establishment of the Mughal has happened. Okay? Once again, with Akbar as a ruler, as a minor ruler. So Akbar was just 13-14 years old, and then after, in 1560, when the death of the Bairam Khan is happening, so Akbar has assumed the full powers. Okay? So full powers. And what was the Akbar strategy? So Akbar's strategy to negotiate with the Rajput rulers, and those who are not accepting the supremacy of the Mughal, fight with them. Now it is the Akbar who initiated this Mansabdari. The point which I need to bring is that Mansabdari. So for the first time, it was he who brought this Mansabdari system of administration, and it was continued till this date, till the later Mughal times. Okay? So whatever system Akbar started, the same was continued by his son Jahangir, and then Shah Jahan, and then by Aurangzeb. Okay? But there are a hell lot of dilutions also which has happened in the system of Mansabdari, and some changes which we have already mentioned, like Izara system, and these all has happened by the time of the later Mughals. Okay? So let's start with the Mansabdari. Okay? Now you got the background. So what is this Mansabdari? So Mansabdari, basically, it is derived from the word mansab, and mansab means a very high official position, or official position, basically. Official position. In India, Akbar was the first person to initiate it. And now we need to talk about the two components of the Mansabdari. But at the very first place, to be very generic about Mansabdari, just like the way we say civil services. Okay? So civil services is an umbrella term. Under the civil services, there are the specific officers, okay? And these officers are IAS, IPS, IFS, and then your IRS, IT, corporate, railway services, okay? So trade services. So these all are there. Same way that Mansabdari is an umbrella term, okay? Under the Mansabdari, there are different type of officer. In general way, you can call everybody as a Mansabdar, but in a specific way, they have some specific roles also. Just like in general way, an IPS is also a civil servant, and an IS is also a civil servant. Okay? So I hope you got that. So now, Mansabdari had two components. So listen carefully, we will write everything, and on your behalf, I will ask questions and I will answer. Okay? So now, the very first one is, this is little irritating. I dragged it up and then it came down. So now, very first thing, we call it as a Zat, and it's little elaborate. So first component of Mansabdari. So what is this Zat? Zat indicates rank of a Mansabdar. Okay? It indicates rank of a Mansabdar in an official hierarchy. So I hope you know hierarchy, that topmost, uske baad, lower level, okay? So in official hierarchy. Then how it is indicated? So basically, rank in Mughal times was a numerical figure. It was a numerical figure, and it ranged from 100 to 5,000. 100 to 5,000 normally. And there were some exceptional ranks, okay? So exceptional ranks were, there were two, 7,000 and 11,000, okay? So the normal procedure is this, 100 to 5,000, whereby 100 is the lowest level rank and 5,000 is the highest rank, okay? And then two exceptional high ranks are 7,000 and 11,000. Getting it? Then, so this is the rank. Zat indicates rank. Then, according to the rank, a Mansabdar was paid salary. ठीक है? भाई जिसकी rank ज़्यादा salary, The one who has a lower rank, he will get less salary. So according to the rank, they were paid salary. Then, so now the question which arises at this point of time, that what was the form of payment? How they were paid? Were they paid in cash or were they paid in land grant? So what is the answer? Answer is both. Okay? So answer is both. So it was paid in cash also and it was paid in land grant also. So in general way, that who gets the cash payment? High level official or low level official? Low level. Yes. Yes. I will come to that. ठीक है? अभी थोड़ी देर सुन लो, ठीक है? इंटरप्ट करोगे तो फिर मैं ना, मेरा एक्चुअली कभी कभी गजनी वाला फेज होता है, भूल जाता हूं. So now, so listen, that there were two type of payments. So generally you see that whenever you can look at your house, that when the people are in the informal job, they are paid in cash, ठीक है? और जहां भी less salary है, ठीक है? Generally the cash payment is preferred. Then, so the lower level mansabdars, they were paid cash salary, and these type of mansabdars were called as nakdi mansabdar. You know the word nakad. In Hindi, we call it nakad. So nakad is cash. So they were called as nakdi mansabdar. Okay? The lower level official. But the higher level officials, they were called as Jagirdari mansabdar. So now first time we are using this word Jagirdari mansabdar. So now these mansabdar or these officers, they were paid in the form of Jagir, and Jagir is land grant. Okay? So Jagir is land grant. And what is this Jagir? Another meaning, piece of land, a tract of land is given to them. So now the second question which arises at this point of time, that this land grant or Jagir which was given, is it for the permanent period or temporary period? What would be the answer? Temporary. Okay? Any other? Both. Yes, that's right. So it was given in both ways, temporary also and permanent also. So now who gets the temporary and who gets the permanent? So on the basis of the tenure, temporary and permanent, there were two type of Jagir. So what are these? So let me write. So there are two type of Jagir. This Jagir I am dividing into, number one, Tankhwah Jagir. Tankhwah Jagir. Okay? And the second one is Watan Jagir. Okay? So Watan Jagir and Tankhwah Jagir. So this Tankhwah is the one which is temporary. So Tankhwah is the one which is temporary and Watan is permanent. Okay? But we further need to elaborate this part. So temporary means that there is a prefix period, that if Akbar has given to some of the Mansabdar this Tankhwah Jagir, so there must have been period, and this period at the time of the Akbar, it ranged from 1 year to 5 years. Okay? After 5 years, once again it will be decided that this Jagir would be given to somebody else, okay? Or the same person. Then permanent Jagir, lifetime. Okay? And not only lifetime, but it is also hereditary. Okay? It is also hereditary and it is also transferable. So these words, hereditary, I hope you understand. What is transferable? One person to another person. Okay? So it means that if hereditary and transferable are very closer, that one that somebody is a zamindar, mansabdar, if he dies, so his sons would be the owner of this one. Okay? So the Mughal emperor will never pose his claim on this one. It is always there with that family. Okay? So this is what is the system. I will repeat it once again, but once more thing we need to understand over here or differentiate, that who are these people to whom this Watan Jagir is given. Okay? Who are these people? Somebody said zamindar. Who said? Just raise your hand. Don't be hesitant. It is right actually. Who said zamindar? अच्छा मुझे मेरी कान बज रहे थे. So this was given to the Indian rulers. ठीक है? Watan Jagir was given to the Indian rulers and the Indian traditional hereditary class of the zamindar. So first of all, let's come up with some examples. So who are getting Watan Jagir? Basically, those Rajas at the Akbar's time, okay? That those Rajput kings who have accepted the supremacy of Akbar. The only thing that they needed to do, accept the supremacy of Akbar, their area is recognized as theirs. There would be no interference by Akbar. Okay? Only thing they needed to do, they recognized the Akbar as the supreme ruler. So Watan Jagir was mostly Rajput rulers. They had their Watan Jagir. Then also the traditional hereditary class of India, Zamindar. So they also were given the Watan Jagir. Okay? So Watan Jagir. And what about this one? Tankhwa Jagir. So this was given to the nobility of the Mughal who are from these groups, Persian, Turkish, okay, Afghani. And some of the Indian nobles were also given then, but generally to the main nobles from the Turani, Afghani and Persian groups, they were given this Tankhwa Jagir. Okay? So this is the one part. And the second part is Sawar. We will talk later. So you write a heading, Mansabdari system. Can I ask one question? That this zamindari which we mentioned, when that zamindari is one such form of the feudalism. Okay? So when did feudalism started in India? I think we have discussed somewhere in the first class itself. कुछ तो बताओ. Yes? Macedonian and Iranian invasion. ठीक है? But ऐसे बताओगे तो फिर then I can trace. It was 6th century BC in which the Macedonian and Iranian invasion was there. ठीक है? 6th century BC. ठीक है? That is the one. And basically the biggest Macedonian invasion is basically it is 326 BC when Alexander, he has defeated the ruler of India, Porus, and later on he himself was killed. That's not the period. So it all started from 1st century AD. Just listen. The 1st century, not 2nd century AD, to be very specific. Pehle sun lo. So it was the Satvahan rulers of India who started the practice of granting land. ठीक है? Granting land. So उसके पहले ये practice नहीं थी. This type of practice was not there. To whom the Satvahans were granting land? Brahmins, okay, and also the Buddhist monks. Then, so mainly it was granted to the priestly class from Hinduism and Buddhism for their religious services. Okay? So this is the first instance of the land grant. But later on what happened? When Guptas have come to power, so that is the true beginning of the feudalism in India. And Guptas, not only they gave the land grants to the people involved in the religious services like priest, but they also started giving it to their officers as a kind of payment. Okay? So this is the beginning of the feudalism in India. Okay? That feudalism in India, Gupta period. And by the time the Islamic rule has been established in India, it was firmly consolidated in India. So already there is a feudal lord class in India, which we are calling as a hereditary landlord traditional class of India. Okay? Now we can write. So keep these things in mind. You might be writing in your ancient classes. So mention, it was the system of administration, Mansabdari system as a heading. So it was the system of administration initiated by Akbar. Initiated by Akbar. Then you write, it is derived from the word, mansab, which means official position. which means official position. ठीक है? Then next you write, it had two components. It had two components which are as follows. It had two components which are as follows. So component number one is Zat. Zat. You're right. It indicated the rank of a mansabdar in official hierarchy. Rank of a mansabdar in official hierarchy. ठीक है? It was basically a numerical value. It was basically a numerical value which ranged from 100 to 5,000. Which ranged from 100 to 5,000 normally. And in brackets you write, brackets में लिखो, you mention 7,000 and 11,000. 7,000 and 11,000 were exceptional ranks. 7,000 and 11,000 were exceptional ranks. So who was given 7,000 and 11,000? Any idea? Yes, very good. So not many, but few Rajput rulers, not all of them were given this rank. I'll tell you the example. And who was given 7,000 rank? No, Mansingh had much more better position than that. So listen, 7,000 was mainly meant for the Mughal princes. ठीक है? Akbar is ruler. ठीक है? His sons would be getting 7,000. Okay, when they have started taking decisions and learning the administration, so they are appointed in some places. Then they are given the 7,000 rank. Okay, and some of the most important allies of the Mughal, they were given 11,000. So only one or two people were given 11,000. For example, during Akbar time, there were two people who were given this 11,000 rank. One was the Raja Mansingh of Gwalior, so not Gwalior, Amer. So Raja Mansingh of Amer, who was also one of the Navaratna of the Akbar, and another was the Raja Todarmal. He was the ruler of the Varanasi area, okay? And he was also the finance minister of the Akbar. So these two people had this 11,000 rank, okay? So rewrite, mention. So you have mentioned 7,000 and 11,000 as an exceptional rank, okay? You mentioned according to the rank, they were paid salary. According to the rank, they were paid salary. Full stop. Salary was paid in cash, and also in the form of land grant. ठीक है? Then you write. I'm also writing here. So नकदी मनसबदार was given cash payment. Nakdi Mansabdar was given cash payment. And Jagirdari Mansabdar was given land grant, was given land grant. जागीरदारी मनसबदार was given land grant. ठीक है, or Jagir you can say. Then further right, change line and then you mention there were two types of Jagir. There were two types of Jagir. That is, so number one, Tankhwah Jagir. Tankhwah Jagir. Mention. In front of it you write, it was given for temporary period. It was given for temporary period and it was non-hereditary. It was given for temporary period and it was non-hereditary. Non-hereditary. Then you write second, Watan Jagir. Watan Jagir. It was given permanently. It was given permanently and it was hereditary in nature. It was hereditary in nature. Then the next component we need to discuss. So that was the component number 1 and let's come to the component number 2, Sawar. So now Sawar, when it comes to Sawar, so we have discussed everything in the Zat. We have discussed their rank, we have discussed their salary, but we did not discuss that why they get this salary. There must be some responsibility. Okay? They must be doing something. That something is this. Okay? So Sawar indicates responsibility of a mansabdar. Responsibility of a mansabdar. And what is his responsibility? So according to the rank, a mansabdar needed to maintain horses and soldiers, for Mughal army. Okay? So this is what is their responsibility. Suppose that there is a person who has a rank of 500, okay? And according to his rank, he need to maintain 100 soldiers, okay? And 10 horses. So then what about 5,000 mansabdar? How many soldiers? 1,000 soldiers and 100 horses. Okay? So according to their rank, they needed to maintain horses and soldiers in the army. Okay? So this is their responsibility and actually they are getting the payment for this only. Okay? Mention. So Sawar, it indicates the responsibility of mansabdar. Responsibility of mansabdar, full stop, according to his rank, he needed to maintain, horses and soldiers for Mughal army. Horses and soldier for Mughal army. So this is what is about this particular Mansabdari system. Okay? If any confusion is there in Mansabdari, you can ask. I will repeat once again. So if you have understood it well, then fine. Yes. How is the rank? नो, व्हाट इज द रोल, ये जानना जरूरी क्यों है? मतलब हाउ आई विल टेल यू कि कैसे बैठा के बोलोगे ये तुम्हारी 100 है, तुम हंसते ज्यादा, तुम्हारी 500 है, ठीक है, तुम्हारी 5000 होगी. इट्स ऑब्वियसली दे आर पावरफुल पीपल. यू गेटिंग इट? ठीक है, that the powerful people, those who are powerful people, those who are power elites, those who have strength, rich, ठीक है, they would be given the heavy ranks, ठीक है. And moreover, it's also about their capability and capacity, that if they display themselves as a good fighter, so they would be given the rank. Then, and for example, if somebody is a soldier, then so the leader of the soldier is a mansabdar. It means that he has some strength, he has that some kind of quality, that he has collected this much people who are ready to fight. So it's all about the capability, capacity, power, money, okay, and their elitism. And moreover, they must also belong to the royal families, okay, the high blood. In fact, those who are getting the high ranks, they belong to the royal families high blood. For example, why Rajputs are given this rank? Why not somebody else is given? Because they belong to the royal family. So that is also taken into the consideration. And power was an important factor. Why they are recognizing the strength of the zamindar or giving them the watan jagir? Because they are strong people. They are very strong people, and it takes just one day to kill a monarch. Yeah, really. It just takes one day or one person to kill the highest authority person. The only thing is required that meticulous planning. Okay? So, as a human breed, we all are open to same kind of threat. It doesn't matter that which particular position you are holding. ठीक है? एक दिन बस लगता है और बस एक गन और उसमें भी एक गोली. I'm not inciting violence, ठीक है? So I'm just elaborating. Otherwise पता चले इतना ही पार्ट कोई काट के ट्विटर पे डाल दे, मैं तो ट्रेंड हो जाऊंगा. Then, so now let's come to the next differentiation. So now is the time that we need to differentiate between one more thing, one more part of it. We need to differentiate a little bit between the Jagirdar and Mansabdar. Jagirdar and Zamindar. ठीक है? So एक table बना लो, and one side, oh sorry, you write Jagirdar. This side you can mention Jagirdar, and this side Zamindar. So now listen. First of all, what we mentioned about the Jagirdar. So generally, when we are referring to Jagirdar, so ये वो लोग हैं जो तनख्वाह जागीर वाले हैं, ठीक है? So these are basically those people who are तनख्वाह जागीर, and Zamindar, the one who are with the watan jagir. So the तनख्वाह जागीर or Jagirdar, basically the jagir which was given to them, ठीक है? So the jagir or the piece of land which was given to them, ठीक है? It was temporary in nature and it was non-hereditary. Then the second thing, that what they will do with this jagir, this land grant. So they are going to collect the revenue from this jagir. Suppose one Jagirdar has been given this constituency of the Karol Bagh. So what he will do? He will collect the taxes from the Karol Bagh. Then the question arises, what he will do with that taxes? Any idea? Any such answer you want to give? What he has collected, what he will do? He will, very good, exactly. He will pay to his soldiers. He will meet his own expenses. Okay? So he will pay to his soldiers. He will meet his own expenses and also his own profit. He will keep. Okay? And if at all, if emperor is demanding something, so he will give something to emperor also. But it was a tricky part of the Jagirdari, that it was not compulsory to all the time remit to the emperor, but many a times they remitted to emperor also some amount. Okay? So now, this is what they are doing. And what about the Zamindar? So Zamindar is a permanent class. Okay? Their land is permanent. Their rights are hereditary. And moreover, they also have the right to collect the revenue from their land. Okay? So they also have the right to collect revenue from the land. So obviously they are the ruler of that area. So they will be the one who will be collecting the revenue. Now the major difference between the two is regarding their responsibility. So while on one hand a Jagirdar, his necessary function to create an army, to keep the horses and soldiers for the Mughal emperor or provide the military support to the Mughal emperor. But on the other hand, it was not a necessary part of being a zamindar. He needed to look after the law and order administration of his area, and as and when required, when the emperor is asking for the help, only in that situation he will help, but he will not maintain an army for the emperor. You are getting it? ठीक है कि emperor ने Mughal, suppose Akbar has requested to Man Singh or Akbar has requested to one ruler that this is the time that I need your help. So then they will send their army. There is no issue. But they have not maintained their army for the Akbar. You're getting it, okay? And Jagirdars are maintaining the army for the Akbar. So that is the major difference between them. Right. Mention. Jagirdar mein likho. So, mention. The Jagir granted to them, was temporary in nature. Jagir granted to them was temporary in nature, and it was non-hereditary. Done. Second point in Jagirdar itself, you write, they collected the revenues from their assigned Jagir. Assigned. Oh, you're writing in Zamindar. No, write it in Jagirdar only. Don't do the mistake. अभी हम जागीरदार तीनों एक साथ से लिख लिया, and then second time we will write in the zamindar. ठीक है? So please pay heed to the instruction. Otherwise you will have to do so much of cut pit in your copy. So mention what you are writing. They collected the revenue from their assigned Jagir. Assigned, ASSIGNED. Assigned Jagir. Then you write, this revenue they needed to meet their own expense, and also to pay the people working under them. ठीक है? And last point in Jagirdar you write, they needed to maintain army for Mughal emperor. In Zamindar you write. Now you are writing in Zamindar. Number 1. They were traditional hereditary landlord class of India. ठीक है? Their Jagir was permanent. Full stop. Second you write, they had all the rights to maintain administration in their area, and also perform law and order function, ठीक है? So what we have written that maintain administration. So administration is a bigger word, but there are parts of the administration. One is the revenue administration and one is the law and order administration. Okay? So revenue is also the part of that. So you write in the brackets, it means that they collected revenue from their respective areas. Okay? So this is what is the difference between the two, that Jagirdar and Zamindar. Okay? So now we have looked at the background in a better way. Okay? After this, when we discuss about the decline of Mughals, so it will not be much tough. It will be easier. So we will start with a question. So please write a question. 2 questions are there. So question you write, mention. So mention. To what extent Jagirdari crisis was responsible for decline of Mughals. Was responsible for decline of Mughals. Number 2, discuss the factors responsible for decline of Mughal. Responsible for decline of Mughals. Okay? So these are the 2 questions. Now listen. So now the very first question, what you have written, to what extent? If you translate it into Hindi, so it means किस हद तक, ठीक है? Or in other way, up to what percentage, ठीक है? Up to what percentage Jagirdari crisis is responsible for decline of Mughal? But the question itself says to you that it is not the 100%. It is asking up to what extent or up to what percentage it is an important factor. So it means that it is not the only thing which led to the decline of Mughals, but there are other things also. Okay? That is there in the first question. The second question is very straightforward, that discuss the factors which are responsible for the decline of the Mughal. So very straightforward, where you need to write everything. Okay? But what about the first one? Here also you need to write everything. Okay? So everything. So Jagirdari crisis is mentioned in the question. So you will write that Jagirdari crisis was an important factor, but there are other factors also, like political factors, economic factors, and then also socio-religious factors and the military factors. Okay? So answer would be same for the both. Questions are different. Okay? Question seems to be different, but answers are same for the both. But where you get this type of question? So the question number 2, you get it in the beginning of the classes, in your home assignment. And in the home assignment, it's not easy, I'm saying, but initially what we do, that we give you the straightforward question, so that there must be the habit of writing the answer, it must develop. So it must develop, and then once you have developed that, so then this is the question which you can expect in the real UPSC exam, and this is the question which you can expect in our test series. You're getting it? Okay? So UPSC will ask like this. So now let's come to this. So in answer, how we need to start, and then one of the very important part of the answer is the introduction and obviously the body. Okay? And then is the part of the conclusion. So I'm not doing any discussion on conclusion today. I will do the discussion on the introduction. Okay? So introduction and then also the body part. So there are n number of the ways you can write your answers. Okay? And over the period in this class also, there would be sessions related to answer writing. The experts will come and they will share some new techniques with you. Okay? You can always go to your mentors, you can ask them. But important is that how to begin with. So there are three ways which I'm going to mention, and in fact it captures everything that we need to write in the introduction. So introduction is said as to be the glimpse of your answer, the main body part. Okay? This is one way of writing. That the first way of writing, that your introduction is the glimpse of your main body part. Okay? So main body part, that what you are going to write in the main body of the answer, if you write it in the introduction in some highlighting words, so then that is your one of the beautiful introduction. For example, in this question, what has been asked to you? Okay? So what has been the very first one, Jagirdari crisis. Okay? So then you can start your introduction with that Jagirdari crisis was an important factor of the Mughal decline, but there were other factors which are political, socio-religious, military, and then also other economic factors. So now, in the introduction itself, you have given a glimpse of your answer to the examiner. Examiner will understand that you know the answer. Okay? When you have mentioned the political causes or political factors, so then he knows that you are ready to differentiate and then you are ready to write, you know it. That is one way of writing. Okay? The second way of writing is defining the keyword of that particular question. Okay? So defining the keyword for the keyword of that particular question. For example, in the very first question, second question, there is no keyword. Okay? But in the first question, there is keyword Jagirdari crisis. Okay? So define, if you are able to define Jagirdari crisis at the very first place, so then that's one way of initiating the introduction. But I will say, avoid in this question with defining Jagirdari, because it's too big and your introduction will become very bulky. So you will have to be very cautious that your introduction must not be very bulky. Okay? So your introduction must be short and crisp. So in this, how many words we can write in introduction? Any such guess that how many words we must write in introduction? 25 to 30 words. Perfect. Then, so 25 to 30 words you need to write in introduction. उससे ज़्यादा लिखोगे तो काम नहीं आएगा. Your introduction must be short and crisp. ठीक है? So now these are the two ways, and the second way which I mentioned to you, that you define the particular key term, and it is highly helpful when you're writing the answers of economics, when you're writing the answers of geography. Okay? And when you are writing something which has a one technical word, even it can be from society also, even it can be from the IR also. For example, that the debt diplomacy of China has sunken the economy of Sri Lanka. Okay? So now the key word is debt diplomacy. Okay? So debt diplomacy. So in the introduction itself, you can define what is debt diplomacy. In geography, okay? That in geography, if they ask you, okay, that if they ask you some technical term, that tropical cyclone, okay? So tropical cyclone, something related to tropical cyclone. So then you can mention that in the scenario of the India, the tropical cyclone, mostly they emerge from the Bay of Bengal. So you're writing about something in the introduction itself. Then in economics, if you're asked about the financial repression, so then you're defining the financial repression in the introduction itself, and then you're moving to the body part. Okay? So this is one way. Now in history, there is a third way. And what is this? In the history, there is a third way which we call as a context. Okay? So context of the entire question, and context you will be able to write, and this is the highest stage of the writing introduction in the history. Okay? So the context, if you are knowing it, and it comes from the holistic understanding of the subject, and also you are well versed with all the parts of the subject. So then you are able to figure out the context of that particular question and who really responsible for. So for example, in this question that they discuss the factors of decline or Jagirdari crisis. So then mainly it is asked from the perspective of the 1707 onwards, and that's what the period we define as the decline of the Mughal, that 1707 onwards the decline of the Mughal started. But in reality you will have to go back to the past. So then if you write in the introduction that though the decline of the Mughals was steep from 1707, but the seed of the decline was already implanted at the time of Aurangzeb. It was the policies, religious bhi mat likho. It was the policies and the programs of the Aurangzeb and his initiatives which implanted the seed of decline, and after his death this seed furthered its growth in the form of a big tree of decline. So this is the context that you are writing, that you are able to figure out that who was the real culprit, okay? Whose time was the one in which it has happened. So that context if you are bringing it, so that is also one of the profound way of writing introduction. I hope you are understanding. So this way we can write introduction. Then comes the main body part. So main body part is simple one. That main body part you write the factors which are factors for decline. So these factors, as we mentioned, that political factors are there, economic factors are there, and in fact Jagirdari crisis is an economic factor. Then socio-religious factors are there, and then the military factors are there. Okay? So should we write right now? So you write one such paragraph. And we are writing the answer of this one, a kind of a sample answer. Okay? So mention that, and I would start with the third one. Okay? Though simple wala tumhe pata hai, so I'd start with the third one. Though the decline of Mughal got accelerated, though the decline of Mughal got accelerated after the death of Aurangzeb. After the death of Aurangzeb, but the seeds of decline were implanted. Seeds of decline were implanted during the regime of Aurangzeb. ठीक है? Full stop. These factors can be classified into political, economic, socio-religious and military. Socio-religious and military. Okay? So now listen. So first we will start with the political factors. Okay? So the one which we have mentioned at the very first place. So the political factors, once again, okay, we will have to blame it to the Aurangzeb. It is safe also, okay, to blame him. So now, so it is the Aurangzeb who disturbed the legacy of his own forefathers. Okay? So how he has disturbed? The very first thing I must have shared with you that he was third in number. When it comes to the sons of the Shah Jahan, so he was third in number. Eldest was the Darasiko, and then was the Shah Shuja, then was Aurangzeb, and then was Murad. Okay? And what he did, that he house arrested his own father, Shah Jahan, in Red Fort, Agra. And then after he has killed his brother, fought with his brothers, and then he has become the ruler. So what in this way, what he has done, that he has disturbed the line of succession. Okay? The line of succession. Earlier the system was Babur's eldest son is the ruler. Humayun's eldest son is the ruler. Akbar's eldest son is the ruler and so is Shah Jahan, ठीक है, but not after Shah Jahan, ठीक है. So this line of succession has been disturbed by him. The second thing, ठीक है, the second thing that there was instability in the Mughal rule after the death of Aurangzeb. So just count 1707 Bahadur Shah, ठीक है, and then after 13 in 1712 Jahandar Shah, number 2, then Farrukh Siyar, after Farrukh Siyar Rafi ud Daula, then Rafi ud Darjat, and then comes the Muhammad Shah Rangila. So within 12 year 6 people are appointed to the throne. So it is indicative of the instability. And on the other hand, how many years Aurangzeb ruled? 49 years, ठीक है. How many years Shah Jahan ruled? 31 years. How many years Jahangir ruled? 22 years. And Akbar 1556 to 05, ठीक है. So there was a hell lot of stability. That stability is not here. And the first one which we'll write before these particular two instances, that is important, and one of the most important factor, that Aurangzeb initiated some of the very long drawn battles, ठीक है, and these long drawn battles were in Deccan area with the Maratha, with Bijapur and Golconda. So Aurangzeb came to power 1658 and soon he started fight with the Maratha and Bijapur and Golconda. This war continued till 1686 and 87. So finally, after 28 years, he was able to capture Bijapur and Golconda. So a war is beneficial to the person when it is very short. Then, but when war is extended for such a long period of time, so it is not beneficial for anybody. And as you are witnessing in the case of the Ukraine war, that not only the Russian economy is in tatters, but also the entire world is in kind of haywire. Then that if there is an inflation in any country, the increasing petrol prices, so don't blame the government of the day. It is the crisis which is happening in the Europe that is at the center stage. So if that has happened in the 3 months, what about the 28 months then? So 28 years. So it led to the emptying of the coffers of the Aurangzeb, or basically the treasury of the Aurangzeb. So he is emptying his coffers, and when he has got Bijapur and Golconda, already much of his money has stashed into the war. Then, so this particular costly war in Deccan area, it sapped the vitality of the Mughal Empire. Okay? That is most important factor. And the last but not the least, very important in the political causes. And as we mentioned in the beginning, there were 4 groups in the Mughal court, and these all groups were divided on their descent lines. And these all groups were competing with each other so as to increase their influence in the Mughal court, and also not only increase their Mughal court but also get the position of the Wazir. So there was intense competition among the nobility, and it led to the bitter factionalism, which is bitter divide in the Mughal court. Very important reason. Right, mention. So political causes, and number 1 you write, the costly long drawn wars of Aurangzeb, in Deccan, Bijapur and Golconda. Deccan, Bijapur and Golconda sapped the vitality. So spelling, if you want, you can see. Sapped the vitality of Mughal Empire. Sapped the vitality of Mughal Empire. Done. Number 2, mention. Aurangzeb broke the line of succession Aurangzeb broke the line of succession and after his death there was further chaos. After his death there was further chaos, 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 ठीक है, further chaos in the line of succession, Number 3, there was heavy political instability. There was heavy political instability. Within 12 years, 6 people were appointed. Within 12 years, 6 people were appointed to the Mughal throne. 6 people were appointed to the Mughal throne. Number 4, there was an intense competition. There was an intense competition within the nobility. Within the nobility. Full stop. The noble groups were trying to increase online chal raha hai? You're right. The noble groups were trying to increase their influence in Mughal court. As such it resulted into bitter factionalism. ठीक है, so bitter factionalism. So these are the political causes of the decline. ठीक है. Then comes the time for the economic causes of the decline, which is basically Jagirdari crisis. We can take break and then after we can continue. So the next one. So now we move to the next factor of decline, which is economic factors. So economic factors. So in economic factors, you can write a subtitle, Jagirdari crisis. So now before moving into the Jagirdari crisis, I would like to go back into the medieval once again. Okay? So what is the medieval system? Basically the system of division of the land. Okay? So try to understand. So as per the medieval system, starting from the Delhi Sultanate and even in the Mughal period, that the land was generally divided into 2 categories. Okay? The land is 2 categories. One, the one which is available for the Jagirdari or the grant. Okay? So one is the grant category and another is the royal or crown land. Okay? So crown land. So there are 2 types of land, one which is available for granting purpose and one which is crown land. So the general share between the 2 was that 80% is reserved for grant and 20% is the crown land. So what is this crown land? We often call this crown land, the term which was used in the medieval period, Khalisa. Okay? In fact, in Delhi Sultanate period also, you read about the Ikta system. Okay? So in Ekta system also there were two type of land, Ekta land and Khalisa land. ठीक है? Ekta is basically the grant land. It is similar to the Jagirdari. ठीक है? So grant land 80% and crown land 20%. Now the entire income which is generated from the Khalisa or crown land, it goes to the personal coffer of the Sultan or the monarch. ठीक है? It is meant for his family. It is meant for him only. Then the rest of the land is going to this one, and from this land not only people are meeting their own expenses but some amount they are remitting to the emperor also. Okay, so now the point is this 80% land. So whenever okay, monarchies functions on their strength of military, okay, and moreover that any monarchy is considered as the rich monarchy or well functioning monarchy if it is able to expand its territory. You are getting it, okay? That how come one such monarch will increase his income? Suppose that when Delhi Sultans have come to Delhi Sultanate has been founded and the Sultans have come to India, so then initially their rule was limited to Delhi and in and around the area of Delhi, but by some point of time their area is expanding to the other parts of the country. Okay, so when it is increasing to the other parts of country, obviously their income is increasing. And how it is increasing? More land would be there for taxation. Okay, so more land would be there for taxation. So monarchies function on the strength of their military. You're getting it then? Now, so how the military functions in the Mughal area or Mughal times? So at the core of the Mughal administration is Mansabdari system. Okay, Mansabdari system, and it is the Mansabdars are the one who are maintaining the army. Moreover, what is the motivation of this Mansabdar? Any idea? What is the motivation? It's very simple. The motivation of a Mansabdar, basically, if he fights for the Mughal emperor, suppose if he fights for the Mughal emperor, and then if the new area is captured, suppose they are fighting for the Bijapur and Golconda. Okay? So now Bijapur, Golconda is not part of the Mughal kingdom. Now they are fighting for it. And they have this motivation that if Bijapur and Golconda has been won by the Mughal emperor, so what Mughal emperor will do? 80% would be available for grant, okay, and 20% crown land. So this is the general system. Now, where this Jagirdari crisis started. So Jagirdari crisis is basically leading that it is tracing from the Aurangzeb's time. When Aurangzeb has fought in Bijapur, Golconda and Maratha area for a very long duration, that is 28-29 years. And finally, when he is victorious in this area, he has annexed this area. So what he did, he changed the sharing mechanism. Okay? He made available very less land for the granting. Okay? So only 50 to 55% land was available for grant, and rest of the land here, more than 40% is going into the crown land. So this has happened for the first time. And moreover, why Aurangzeb did this particular thing, he took this decision because his coffers are already empty. His personal wealth is already empty because he has spent it on the war. So now he wants to rebuild it. But the repercussion was that when you are keeping this money for yourself, okay, for rebuilding your treasury, on the other hand, your nobles are disaffected, your Jagirdars are disaffected. Okay? So now the Jagirs were less in number, as you're getting. Okay? So Jagirs are less in number. Moreover, these Jagirs which were there, I think online will function na? Whenever there is a electricity cut. So Jagirs were less in number, and the ones which were available, they were highly unequal in sizes and disproportionate. So it all means that what is the meaning of this last thing? That highly unequal and disproportionate. Meaning that some people will be given more Jagir, some people are given less Jagir. So this is also creating a kind of a feeling of the relative deprivation. You are getting it? What is relative deprivation? What is? Yes, compared to others, I'm getting less. For example, ठीक है, that we are two friends, ठीक है, दोनों का प्री में नहीं हुआ, ठीक है, happy, it's okay. एक का हो गया, उसके बाद then relative deprivation, ठीक है. So then he is no more my friend. So you're getting it. So this is what is that the other person is getting more and I'm getting less. So generally they were not the enemies by nature, but this wealth deprivation is creating that they are pitting one against the another. And this is what we call Jagirdari crisis, that Jagir started to compete with each other to get more Jagir from Aurangzeb. So this is Jagirdari crisis. I hope you understood. Right, mention. So yes. What do you mean by private property? No. See, that you have used a technical word, private property. First, you will have to understand. See, that generally when we poke a word, but without understanding poking a word is not right. Private property, you know what is the meaning of this one. So I'll define. I'm not trying to mock you down. So private property, what I own, that what the acres of land that I owned. If the house in which I am living in Delhi, that is my private property. I have bought it. That is private property. खरीद के जो रखी जाती है वो private property है. उसमें किसी और का share नहीं होता है. ठीक है? So here it is the entire property of the monarchy. ठीक है? And entire property of the monarchy and the king. ठीक है? And the king is the one who distributes it among the people. You're getting it? ठीक है? So that is the concept. Again, what you are saying. What do you mean by private land? Again, once you are not understanding. What do you mean by private land? No, what do you mean by private land? Adani या अंबानी को दे दिया? नहीं, ये पहले जो पूरा पढ़ाया वो समझ में आया तुम्हें? No. You have not understood it. That's the problem. ठीक है? Have you understood the part that which we studied? If you haven't understood, so you revise it again. आज घर जाना, एक बार फिर से वीडियो देखना, and then you will understand. There is no point of bringing private property over here. ठीक है? It's all that is mentioned to you that if there is a monarchical system, so it all belongs to the monarchy, and it is the one which it distributes to the people. ठीक है? So what is वतन जागीर? चलो इसने बच्चे ने पूछा है तो थोड़ा और एलोबरेट करना चाहिए. What is वतन जागीर? हाँ, परमानेंट. सो दैट यू कैन कॉल एज प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी. लेकिन वो किसके पास है? वो लोग भी तो राजा हैं, वो भी राजा है. ठीक है? तो राजा के पास उसकी अपनी प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी है, बट प्रजा के पास नहीं है. ठीक है? अभी तक के लिए इतना ही कंसिडर करो. सो नाउ लिसन. सो यू आर राइटिंग मेंशन दैट एट द कोर ऑफ मुगल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, at the core of Mughal administration was Mansabdari system. At the core of Mughal administration was Mansabdari system. Then further you write, the vitality of Mughal empire depended on their military strength. Full stop. In which the Jagirdars, it has become a regular thing. So Jagirdars played a very vital role. Jagirdars played a very vital role. Full stop. Then change paragraph and then you write played a very vital role. Then mention the Jagirdari crisis involved the unequal, the disproportionate and very small sizes of Jagir. On the other hand, very small sizes of Jagir, on the other hand, there were too many jagirdars. There were too many jagirdars. ठीक है? Too many jagirdars competing for the jagirs. Competing for the jagirs. Full stop. Then further he mentioned, this problem was further aggravated. This problem was further aggravated when Aurangzeb declared majority part of Bijapur and Golconda, majority part of Bijapur and Golconda as Khalisa land. Bijapur and Golconda as Khalisa land. Khalisa land. Then Khalisa land. Full stop. Then next you mention Khalisa land के बाद then as such there was dearth of jagirs. There was dearth, D-I-R-T-H. There was dearth of jagirs. And the jagirdars started fighting with each other. So this is what is termed as the Jagirdari crisis. ठीक है? So Jagirdari crisis. So now listen, the second part which is connected to the Jagirdari crisis. First of all, so now the Jagirdari crisis is one part. Moreover, listen, let's suppose that if I am a Jagirdar, I was expecting that after this annexation of Bijapur and Golconda, I did my own calculation and then I was thinking that I will get the 1000 acre of land. Okay? This would be my land grant. But what has happened when Aurangzeb, rather than 80%, he has declared 50 to 55%. So what he did that I am getting, rather than getting 1000 acre of land, I have been granted 500 acres of land or 600 acres of land. So it is little less than or very less than the one I expected. So what I will do that this 600 acres of land which has been available to me, so what I'll do that I will not compromise with my own income. Okay? I have one opportunity to increase the rate of taxes. Earlier, if I was planning that I will be charging 30%, so now I will charge 40%. Okay? So now, who is exploited? The ultimate taxpayer. That the charges are increasing on the ultimate taxpayer. Earlier, he was paying 25% to 30%. Now he is paying 40%. So there were these kind of instances that many places Jagirdars tried to increase the rate of taxes to enhance their income. But now people were not going to sit back. There is no more Aurangzeb after 1707 and the fear of Aurangzeb has also gone. So in many places, people revolted against this Jagirdars. Okay? So, right, second one. The attempts to increase rate of taxes. The attempts to increase rate of taxes to compensate their income. Then, so income. Then further you mention to compensate their income. Then many a times it was contested by contested by the people of the particular area. Many a times it was contested by the people of particular area and there were revolts against the Jagirdars. There were revolts against the Jagirdars. Done? So this is what we can count in the economic causes of the decline. Okay? Now the next factor is the socio-religious causes of the decline and also the military causes of the decline. Okay? So we'll see that, and then after we'll talk about the successor state and the rebellious state. So listen. So when it comes to the socio-religious causes of the decline, it's very obvious and you know it all. Okay? So for example, that when it comes to the rule of the Akbar, so at that point of time, he abolished jizya tax. Okay? So he abolished jizya tax, and jizya, as we discussed, okay, it was a religious tax, okay, that imposed on the non-Muslim community for their protection. So the nature of the tax was discriminatory. Not the purpose, we are not saying that the purpose is discriminatory, it is for the protection, okay? But otherwise the nature is very discriminatory, okay? So now it was abolished, and moreover Jahangir, Shahjahan, nobody implemented it, okay? So nobody implemented it, and then Aurangzeb is coming to power. So Aurangzeb, he reimposed the jizya tax, okay? So he has brought back that discriminatory tax. So now, once again, when it is reimposed on the non-Muslim population, so the majority population is feeling alienated at this point of time, okay? So it is feeling alienated at this point of time. Now, another thing, that not only this was happening, but there were many such policies of the Aurangzeb which were going against the tradition of the majority population. For example, he banned some of the festivals like Diwali and Holi, okay? So these are the core festivals, okay? They were banned. Then after, he is running after destroying many of the temples done. So he destroyed n number of the temples. More than thousands of the temples were destroyed by him. But some of the important temples, you can write as an example, like Kashi Vishwanath was destroyed, and Somnath. This year there was a question on the Somnath in the prelims paper also. So Somnath, and then Kashi Vishwanath, then Kesav Rai temple, and then comes the Govinda Dev temple of the Mathura Vrindavan. So these were some of the 4 important temples. Why we often quote, and Somnath is very important, because Somnath, in later on in art and culture courses, you read about the concept of the Shiva Jyotirling. Okay? So it is one of the Shiva Jyotirling, and in fact it is the first Shiva Jyotirling. So that was first time it was destroyed by Mahmud of Ghazni. Okay? So Mahmud of Ghazni, when he was leaving India, he has destroyed this particular temple, and then time and again this temple was destroyed by many people. Okay? So now it became, rather than becoming a symbol of the Hindu religion, it became a symbol of this country and culture of this country. So whenever it is destroyed, so the people are disaffected with this. Then came this Kashi Vishwanath also, which is also a Shiva Jyotirling, which was destroyed, and Kesav Rai temple, very famous temple in Mathura Vrindavan. But the one which is a bit important was the Govinda Dev temple. So why Govinda Dev temple? Because it was the one temple whose funding was done by the Mughal house. Okay? And it was the Akbar who has done the funding, and there was heavy interest of the Jodha in the construction of that temple. In fact, Govinda Dev temple is considered as the symbol of the Ganga Zamuna Tehzeeb of India, basically the fusion of the Hindu and Muslim culture. So Aurangzeb destroyed it. I think I have shared the story with you. Okay? So he destroyed it. So this is what has happened, and by this time people have developed hell lot of hatredness towards him. Only thing that he was a mighty person. Okay? He had hell lot of power. So very rarely people went against him. Okay? And after his death, now the people are no more reconciling with the same type of the rule. Okay? So this is another factor. And then comes the military reasons, we'll discuss later. So you write socio-religious causes of the decline. Socio-religious causes of the decline. So now mention Aurangzeb reimposed Aurangzeb reimposed jizya tax. Aurangzeb reimposed jizya tax. ठीक है? Then you write which was discontinued by Akbar. Which was discontinued by Akbar. Then next you mention discontinued by Akbar, full stop. It alienated the majority population. It alienated the majority population. Then next you mention he also banned many of the Hindu festivals. Many of the Hindu festivals like Diwali, Holi, etc. Then next you write, next mention. He also destroyed many of the Hindu and Jain temples. He also destroyed many of the Hindu and Jain temples. Hindu and Jain temples. ठीक है? Which includes very famous. So you write these names, 4-5 names you can write. So which includes very famous Somnath, Kashi Vishwanath, Kesav Rai, and Govind Dev Temple. Kesav Rai and Govind Dev Temple. Okay? So now Govind Dev Temple is no more, as you know. So these are some of the reasons, and these are his religious divisive policy, which is not working in his favor. Okay? So for short time it may be useful, but for the long time you will have to pay for it. So that's what happened, that it further accelerated the decline of the Mughals. And then the last one, listen. So military causes of the decline. So this one is not at all related to Aurangzeb. Okay? So this one is more related to the people who were there in the 18th century, the later Mughals, and that onus was on them to rebuild or recreate a very strong Mughal army, but they did not perform well. So now what has happened by this time? So 18th century India is known for that what we witnessed, the rise of the regional kingdoms, okay? And these regional kingdoms were militarily more powerful than the Mughal Empire. Then, apart from the regional kingdoms, the rise of the European powers, particularly French and the British, okay? So, French and the British, and these two, that French and British, technologically they were very sound. They have included new weapons, that technologically efficient weapons in their army. On the other hand, there was no intervention from the side of the later Mughals to improve their army, to make some investment in their army. And finally, when they were faced with their superior opponents, that is Europeans, they proved to be very inferior. And one such example I'm quoting here. In Battle of Buxar, okay, there are 3 regional powers of India. Okay, Awadh is there, then Bengal is there, and then also Shah Alam. And their army strength, we will write later on, that their army strength was somewhere around 70,000. On the other hand, the British army only had 7,000 people. Okay, 7,000 people, but even in that scenario, they convincingly defeated the combined army. Okay? Why? Technology, the superior weapons that they were using. So mention military causes. Military causes. So please write. In the 18th century India, there was rise of there was rise of regional powers, there was rise of regional powers and the European powers, rise of regional powers and the European powers, full stop. Then next you mention, in this period there was no intervention. In this period there was no intervention from the side of Mughals, to improve the strength of their army, Moreover, technologically, they were not well equipped. Full stop. And then you mention technologically not well equipped. When they were faced with the superior opponents, that is British, Mughal army proved to be highly inferior. Okay? So these are some of the reasons that we count in this decline of the Mughals. Okay? So एक थोड़ा सा idea है that how we need to write the answers. And as did I mention in the class that we do some exercises in the class also? I haven't mentioned. So this is, I think this is the 4th class or 5th. This is 4th. So not in the 4th or 5th or this. So after some point of time, after 2 or 3 classes, take है, that after every 6 or 7 classes, take है, what we do, that we do give a surprise test in the class itself. So we close the doors, take है, completely, and then we distribute the assignment sheets in the class, and you need to write in 12-15 minutes. Take है? It's not about that you are kind of that being disciplined over here, but it's kind of a push that we want to give to you. So that you start writing. And when you start writing, so then you start recognizing that what are your answer, and then also at the same point of time, what all things you need to incorporate. So though already we are giving you the assignment questions, okay? But we know that in this 400 strength class, hardly 30 to 35 people are writing. And that's a reality, I think. Okay? So hardly 30 to 35 people are writing. So it will not work in your favor if you're not writing the answers. And writing answers is a key. Because all of a sudden you do not become a Superman when you're sitting in the mains examination. You will have to do that exercise over here only. So that sort of push we will give in the classes. And in this modern Indian history class, 4 or 5 assignments we will do in the classes, and moreover we'll also discuss some of the previous year questions. But there is one more platform to look at the previous year question where we do the discussion. So the open resources where we keep all the discussion. So if ever you want to look at the previous year paper and the discussion on that, so that is already there. So please refer to it. And moreover, when you start writing the assignments in the classes, so all of a sudden overnight you do not become so good that from the very first day you are getting out of 10, you are getting 6 or 7. You might be getting 3.5, 4.54. That's good enough, okay, to start with, and it will improve over the period. Okay, so that we will do, and in that scenario we'll also discuss the questions. Okay, so now after this topic, since one such episode has come to an end, I just invite some questions from you. Okay, हाँ पूछो. No, you can do. Obviously, conclusion is one important part, but I said that today we are not going into the conclusion. We will do it later because some sort of more background is required. So their discussion is remaining because in your answer writing session in the classes, they will come and share some more strategies. I will also share, but I'm leaving it over here. Okay? So I'm reserving it for another day. Any other question that you want to ask? One by one, you ask. हाँ पूछो. हाँ नहीं, ये तो मैंने ऐसे एग्जाम्पल दिया ना. करोल बाग सपोज वाला एग्जाम्पल है, ये रियल एग्जाम्पल नहीं है. ठीक है, ये रियल एग्जाम्पल नहीं है. एंड दूसरा, ये हमने ये बातचीत ही नहीं की है ना कि उसने कैसे असाइन किया कैसे नहीं किया. हमने बस परसेंटेज की बात की है. ठीक है, सो परसेंटेज वाइट इज देयर, ही मस्ट बी डूइंग सम सॉर्ट ऑफ कैलकुलेशन. ठीक है, so he must be doing some sort of calculation and then accordingly he must have assigned, but we don't need to go into that. We just need to stick to the percentage only. Majority minority में काम चल जाएगा. ठीक है, then somebody was there from the backside. Yes, what is वर्ड लिमिट? देखो पहले दिन से नहीं आएगा. ठीक है, it will not come with the very first day, and initially we will give you scope to write more. ठीक है, that suppose that we are giving you an assignment and then assignment में हम 150 words देते हैं ना सुगम, 150 words. So if we are giving it 150 words, so you can write till 200 also. ठीक है, बट स्लोली उसको धीरे धीरे कम करना होगा. पहली चीज, वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग इज टू राइट आंसर. वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग इज टू राइट आंसर्स फ्रॉम द वेरी फर्स्ट डे, एंड देन ऑनवर्ड्स यू नीड टू रिड्यूस दोज words, and with answer writing only you yourself will get to know कि उसको कम कैसे करेंगे. So there are few things which I will share with you. I think I haven't shared the writing technology and then also the number of the things that you will be incorporating into the pages. So let me do one thing. Do you have the assignment sheet? Anybody? दे दो. So assignment sheet. Yes. So now listen, that this assignment sheet, as you can see, that this is exactly similar to what you get in the UPSC exam. ठीक है, ये बहुत scientifically बनाया हुआ है. So in UPSC exam, that the page is little wider on this side, and there this column is little wider. ठीक है, there would be one line and there would be one line here. ठीक है, now the question is written over here. Suppose that there is a question which is a 10 marker. ठीक है, so 10 marker question यहाँ पे लिखा है. Then this page is there and the second 10 marker question is written over here. So they will give you only that much space जिसमें 150 से 165 लिख सको. 150 to 165 you can write. So the problem is, अब समझना इस बात को. The problem is that we have different type of handwritings. There are a few people who write very tiny way. ठीक है, उनका आंसर इतने में ही खत्म. ठीक है, this much, it ended in this much. And some people, we write it as a capital letters. ठीक है, so then this much space would not be enough. When they are reaching 120, it's over. Even if you know the answer, it's over. So you will have to be very cautious in this one, that you will have to bring your writing style to such a level that it fits into the case. So the normal scenario I am discussing with you, when there is a no question in this one, ठीक है, कोई question नहीं है, पूरी seat तुम्हारे पास है. ठीक है, so in this scenario, the maximum number of the words according to UPSC that you can write is 135. So 135 words you can write, and in terms of number of lines that you can write is 18. ठीक है. सो आज से कोशिश करना कि एक A4 पेज लो एंड काउंट दैट हाउ मेनी लाइन्स यू आर राइटिंग एंड हाउ मेनी वर्ड्स happening. So this 135 in one page, you can target 120 to 130 words and then 17 to 18 lines. Then, so if your handwriting is coming in this zone, so then you don't need to worry about it. But if it is crossing limit, okay, either it is underwhelming or overwhelming. So in this situation, you need to be changing. You need to bring change in your writing also, and then incorporating the new changes into your writing. I hope you are getting. So itna hi hota hai. So over the period, what happens that when this situation arises, okay, and that's why we give this much space to you only, okay, so that you must come across the same sort of words in this one. And if you're writing small, please increase the size of your font. Thoda bada karo accordingly. So for example, I will not share with anyone, but all of you are writing in a very good way. In the very first bench, sabki handwriting achhi hai. This much font is good, okay? But some people do write small. So this is one part. And in next class, we'll share a few more things with you. Okay? Then any other question? Yes, please. Paragraphs and points. Okay, I'll address. Yes, everybody was keeping their own army. That's what is the feudalism. That they have their own army. In fact, in world history, you read about this part, feudalism, okay? And feudal system. It all emanates from the fiefdom, word fiefdom. And fiefdom means that there is a feudal lord. Under a feudal lord, there are vassals, okay? Vassals ke under mein there are serf, okay? Serf are basically peasants who are tenants or sharecroppers, okay? So these all definitions you come across. In fact, what you ask private property also, that will also come down to you. You will get to know by that particular class of the very first class of the world history. So they were keeping their own army. These vassals, okay, of the feudal lords, they were the part of the army, and that's what support they are giving to the monarch. So what's he asked? I think this question must be there in everybody's mind. That should we write in the points or paragraph? रहता है ना कि points में लिखें या paragraph में लिखें. So I just want to know from you that किस में पसंद करते हो तुम लिखना? Points में, ठीक है? Why not in paragraph? Content ज्यादा हो जाता है ना? So just listen. See, you need to write in both. जैसे हमने आज देखा ना, सब जगह both. Then, so you need to write in both. It depends on that which answer you are writing. ठीक है? So for example, listen. That when you're writing an answer in a geography paper, you're writing answer in economics paper, so the point format is quite useful. In fact, point format is also useful in some parts of the international relations. Then, so for example, that if you are writing about that the growing dependence of India or the growing dependence of the Western world on India, so then you can count on the points, okay? That what all are the factors, that 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can write in the points. Same way geography, okay? In geography, suppose they have asked you that what are the factors behind the tsunamis, then so then you can write in the points. Economics also, that you can write in the points. But essay, do you write essays in the point? So when you write essay in the point, it would be pointless, okay? So you know, so that's a one subject, one such area where you need to write in the paragraphs, okay? And moreover, that in history portion also, that some of the subject, that history ho gaya, then society also, that some places you need to incorporate the paragraphs, okay? And what is the importance of the both? See that you are going to become an administrator, okay? And what is expected from you, that you must be crisp and very precise, okay? Crisp and precise, and that your language would be that very much relevant to the situation. So for example, that if you have become the IS officer, DM of one particular officer, Prime Minister visits your office. He asks you that what are the problems of this district. So then if you're crisp and precise, if you know the points, then that what are the real problems? In a point format, you elaborate to him. Okay? You're getting it? That you are saying him that there is a situation of the flood in this area. Okay? Then उसके पीछे मत जाओ कि flood कहाँ से आ रहा है, कहाँ से नहीं आ रहा है. इतना प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास टाइम नहीं होगा. So you need to be deciding that कौन सी बात कहनी है कि कम टाइम में ज्यादा से ज्यादा बोल दो. So then you need to be there. Then what about that being an IFS officer? Okay? You are going to deliver a speech in the UN. Will you say it in the points? So first of all, look at the dialogue which was very recently it happened in Bratislavia dialogue and Jayasankar. Okay? So the questions which were asked to him and the way he replied to those questions. Okay? When it was asked so where is India? That there are two blocks in the world. There is a Western world led by US and there is a world which is led by China. So where is India? Where is India inclining? So he said that why the hell we need to be there on the any other side? Okay? He said, I am 1/5 population of the world. Myself is a side. Then, so इसको पॉइंट्स में कैसे करोगे? इट्स अ ब्यूटिफुल लैंग्वेज. ठीक है? सो यू नीड टू हैव दैट पर्सोना, दैट पर्सनालिटी, दैट बोथ द एस्पेक्ट्स देयर मस्ट बी सब्जेक्टिविटी, दैट यू आर सब्जेक्टिव ऑल्सो एंड यू आर ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑल्सो. बोथ आर इंपॉर्टेंट. सो इन योर आंसर्स अकॉर्डिंग टू द डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन यू विल हैव टू कीप द पैराग्राफ एंड यू विल हैव टू कीप पॉइंट्स ऑल्सो. सिर्फ एक पे डिपेंड हो गए. So this exam is a reflection of your personality. It will highlight that only objective part is there in your exam. There is no subjective part. Okay? So for example, do you appreciate somebody in points? No. There is a importance of appreciation, and that appreciation must happen in a beautiful language. The way it must be convincing to somebody. Okay? It must be convincing to somebody, and other one is happy listening to that particular appreciation or that criticism. That criticism itself, if you say in points कि तुम झूठे हो, ठीक है? So then the person will see that कि तुमने मेरे सवालों का जवाब नहीं दिया, तुम बहुत बेकार आदमी हो. Then you say that कि I think that you are a good person, but you could have replied one more question of mine. I would have taken it as a kind of a good piece of answer from you or good piece of appreciation of my own personality. So then in this language when you are saying this, you are saying that कि तुमने झूठ भी बोला, मेरे सवाल का जवाब भी नहीं दिया, ठीक है? लेकिन बुरा भी नहीं लगा. So both the things are required in the examination. ठीक है? Depends question कौन सा है. ठीक है? So हाँ या ना वाला है या उसके beyond है. I hope you got that. ठीक है? चलो. So I think we can continue with the next topic. If there is any other question, so one last question I can take. चलो. This side. 2. Yeah. Ladies first. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So what she has asked, you are saying that in introduction what we have written and see, it looks like that repeating the same thing. Okay. Content. Okay. Jagidari crisis. Yes. See, but when this question came, what she is asking, I just tell to the people on the camera also, that what she is asking, that the question asked that to what extent the Jagidari crisis was responsible for the decline of the Mughals. So what she is saying that why not we only answer the Jagidari crisis? Why we are counting the other factors also? So basically, when you write the Jagidari crisis and what you have written, beyond that you cannot write. So it's hardly 65 words. Hardly 65 words. Then you can, if you have time crunch, so you can sum up on that only. But basically, I cut some of the critical words which I have not mentioned in the question. For example, that discuss that what it has, to what extent Jagidari crisis was responsible for the decline of the Mughals, and then the word I cut, analyze. ठीक है? then you need to write all the factors. It's a very good question that she has asked. Okay, so we are not going to this technical words, this keywords, that is analyze, critically analyze, discuss, comment. Comment is a very higher stage of the observation and cutting into the frames of the question. So when these keywords are there, then you need to write the other factors. But when it is only Jagirdari crisis, if they are asking, so they will cut the number of the words. They will ask it in 100 words only, and they will not keep any of these words. Then, so whenever analyze is written or critically analyze is written, so then you have to go with the other factors also. And that's what I said, कि जब वो session हो जाने दो answer writing का, in which these all keywords would be defined to you, तो थोड़ा और पता चलेगा. But since it is just the 4th class, I'm just motivating you to write answers. ठीक है? I hope you got that. Then, chalo, thank you. And your question, one last one. So now we'll not move to the other topic, I think. Socio? Yes, yes. Yes. Once again, last part of your question. Yes, Levidon. No. See, when it comes to jizya, particularly that tax, so jizya was implemented soon after the arrival of the Aurangzeb. He came to power in 1659, and within 1 or 2 years he reimposed it. But when it comes to the second part which we did, the Jagirdari crisis and Jagirdars trying to increase the rate of the taxes, so that was after the Aurangzeb's declaration that Bijapur Golconda majority portion is Khalisa land. Then only. So that is the last leg of the life of the Aurangzeb, and jizya is in the first part only. Okay? So when we have class next? Tomorrow we have? No, I don't think so. Day after tomorrow hai na? So day after tomorrow we'll start with the Anglo-French struggle, Carnatic Wars. Okay? Chalo, thank you.